Welcome to Entrepreneurs Conquering the World, how to build a global audience and profit from it. With your host, Carmen Ring.
Hello everyone, welcome to Entrepreneurs Conquering the World. I am your host, Carmen Ring. Today I have with me a wonderful business person and a dear friend of mine, Hanna Meirelles. She's from Brazil, and I'm very lucky I managed to get on the same time zone with her a little bit so we can get this done, so she can share with us some of her wonderful experiences. Hanna has been an entrepreneur from a very, very early age. Since she was 12, she was actually mentoring kids in her school. Later on, over the past 11 years, she lived in Mozambique, South Africa, Brazil, and Australia. And she's been doing business, and she's been acting as a leader in the human resources field, as well as talent management in over 38 countries. Hanna is very passionate about everything that means culture, cultural differences, and just engaging people and motivating them. She's an international speaker and trainer as well, but I'm going to let her tell you more about herself. Hanna, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with everyone who is watching us right now.
Why don't you tell us a little more in detail about you and your career, how everything started, and what it took for you to be where you are today?
All right. So I think in terms of my career, I would say like that, I got a lot of influence from my parents. My mom was a teacher, and that's where it came, my passion for education, I believe. So I always liked, I was seeing her to teach, and I always liked to teach as well. And that's why I started teaching kids, my colleagues, sometimes classmates, neighbors, family members, cousins, and all sorts of kids around. I started mentoring them and teaching them since a very young age. My mom used to say, that I would love, I used to love that, like since I was very little. And just like few years after that, I also started another type of business. I think seeing my father as an entrepreneur, trying to do a lot of things at the same time, he had many, many different initiatives, many companies that he started as an entrepreneur, many companies that he closed as well. And I think seeing those kind of experiences, like, my mom and my dad trying to do their very best, their very, very best to give me quality education, and also they were struggling financially as well. That actually gave me the motivation to work with the two things very aligned for the whole life. So I had a rental, a cartoon magazine, comic books rental place when I was 12. I recruited actually some other people from my neighborhood to help me out with that, and I was renting to the whole suburb. It was a lot of fun, but a lot of responsibility as well. I could make some money out of it, so it was wonderful. And I started like doing other initiatives during those years, when I was a teenager as well. And then I continue a little bit of that during my adult phase. So when I was actually in university, I got in touch with an organization which was the largest organization for leadership development in the world, which is called Isaac. And through them, I got to know really a little bit more about the world. So I went through my first international experience through Isaac, working as a consultant in another country. I could receive different foreign trainees in Brazil, learn different languages with them, and also promote the different global experiences that many people had around the world inside the companies in my own reality in Brazil. And that was just the beginning. When I went first time to South Africa for my first international experience, it was a great discovery for me, because the whole world was, opening up so easily. And actually, I chose South Africa as the first country to be, because there was a great opportunity in there for me, for talent management and for leadership development, but also because it was Nelson Mandela's country. And I've been in love for his history and what he has done for the country and for the world for so long, that when the opportunity came up, and I didn't think twice. I thought, South Africa is the right place for me. I want to see closer what Mandela has done in so many years, and the wonderful job that the South African people had built, since the end of apartheid, and that influenced me a lot, especially to work with cultural diversity, with understanding people from no matter, what religion they have, sexual orientation, gender, age, ethnic groups. So no matter what it is, people were, exercising that freedom of choice. And this was one of the things that I identified very close to myself, to my mission, as more as I was discovering how much I liked education, business, diversity, and respecting people, no matter what was going on. I could put everything together, and that led me to what it is my life today. So today I work as a trainer and facilitator in different countries in the globe, mostly in Brazil, but also in countries like Mozambique, Malaysia, Oman, South Africa, and so many other ones. And for me, it all put it together, like my passion for leadership development and education, and at the same time for creating the awareness about diversity around the world. So basically what I do is that, I put all kinds of people together to create magical environments. And those environments, they actually embrace diversity, they honor diversity, and they use that as the fuel to make the magic happen. So that's what I do nowadays. And it's definitely, one of my passions, and I'm really glad to help other people to develop themselves into this context.
And I know you're also very good at it. I've seen you in action. I've seen you also in your just personal life, just interacting with people from different backgrounds. So I see how natural you are and how well you can connect with everybody, no matter what their background is. I know during your career, you've worked with some very well-known companies, and like oil companies and very big international companies.
Uh-huh.
I would like you to tell us, first of all, the challenges that you personally had in working with countries around the world and with cultures around the world, and also the challenges that those companies were facing, and what brought them to the point of hiring you to train their people. So their challenges and also your challenges on an international scene.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Carmen. So I will get one specific example, I believe, that which was when I moved to Australia. The company there, they have a big challenge, which they didn't know exactly at the time what was the challenge. They just described to me as, we have some issues here, maybe around people development, maybe around culture, maybe around leadership. So the first challenge that I figured out when I got there, it was that people did not understand each other. They all spoke one single language. They were all speaking English. It was the same language across, the whole organization in there, which was about 1,200 people. But they did not understand each other quite well. People would say some things, and the others, they would understand different things. So communications was a big issue. But it was not only because, communications is in general an issue everywhere, it's something that organizations are always trying to improve. They always say, we have a communications problem in here or in there. They're always trying to improve that part. But in there, it was a cross-cultural communications that was making the problem a little bit more challenging, So people will think, why those guys from Australia have this kind of behavior, but they will never ask those people. They will always think. And when we don't ask something, if we are curious about it, or if you see some different behavior, but we don't talk about it, in general, our mindset is to judge. So people were judging each other without knowing exactly what was going on. So in judgments, they were making actually the challenge even bigger, because people were not communicating properly, and they were judging each other without asking questions, which is something that looks like obvious, but it is not. We're not used to ask as many questions as we should ask, to people that are working with us. And that was, some of the challenges that they actually have. Another challenge that they discovered that they have, and that I discovered during that time, it was that although there were people from all over the world working together in there, they have very, very low sensitivity to the cultural issues. So they thought they knew, Australians thought they knew very well the New Zealanders or the Americans that were working with them or the Brazilians that were working with them. The Brazilians thought, no, we know already this culture. We've been here for the last 5 years or so. But in reality, they have a very, let's say, low maturity level of understanding of those cultural aspects of that community. It's like if you go to a place where, we expatriate someone, let's say from Brazil to the US, what immediately Brazilians tend to do is try to find all the Brazilians in the US, in the city where they are, so they it's comfortable and they can be together. They can do things together. They can speak their own language, even if they are in the US, for example. But when you're working in the companies and you have those cross-cultural challenges every day, that's one of the worst things that you can actually do. In order to integrate with a culture, you have to live that culture properly. It's not something that you can just travel, move, spend 2 years there and ignore completely. You can do that, but if you only do that, just go to work and come back every day to your home community, even if you are in a different country, you are losing a massive opportunity of doing the best businesses of your life, of getting to know a wonderful culture where you are, of getting to understand new people, getting to know other people, getting to learn how to communicate properly with people across the globe. So those challenges were all happening over there during my time with that company in Australia. They were facing all of it because the foreigners that were there, they were not really integrated into the local culture. They still have their same habits as if they were in their home countries. They still were closer to people from their home countries. They were not even open to understand properly the life in Australia, how the Australians will live, and those kind of things. And my challenge with that was, first of all, to understand, to make a diagnosis about the situation. So what was going on in there? And I was a foreigner as well. So for me, I needed to integrate fully into that culture to be able to see both points of view, point of view of a foreigner, but also point of view of a local person. So, and I have actually and for me it wasn't difficult in that sense, it was an initial challenge. But for me, it's very automatically going to somewhere and trying to understand a little bit better the culture and more about the people in there. In general, I really integrate quite fast. If someone would tell me, all right, so how long did you, how long did it take you to see, let's say, the Australian, local famous animals like the koalas or the kangaroos? And I was like, first week I was already in a beach in a very remote place, seeing kangaroos by the door where I was staying, wasn't in the zoo or something like that. Because I managed to travel with the Australians that I just met. They invite me to their house. I said, yes, I'll go. And then in order to understand a little bit more about the culture, and they helped me to prepare. They taught me how to prepare local food, traditional food. So I had to do my best, always doing my best to integrate as quick as possible in the cultures where I am. So I can, help other people after that to understand the culture as well.
I think you mentioned something very important and very relevant. You said when people move to another country, out of comfort, they look for the same community. So I think the word comfort is key here.
Yes.
They don't push themselves out of their comfort zone. Would you mind sharing with us maybe a few tips, that a few pieces of advice that's some sort of easy for them to do, to just encourage people to get out of their comfort zone, and tell them a few secrets on how to create connection with people from a different culture, with people they feel they don't know how to approach? What are a few communication or networking secrets or integration secrets, like you mentioned, to integrate? How can they create a quick connection with somebody they feel they don't know, or somebody they feel it's totally different from them?
Okay, great, great. So one of the things that I've done and I've always advised people to do is like once I moved to a new country and a new place, I didn't feel the need to go and looking for immediately to my own Brazilian community, because I realized that what I needed, it was not necessarily a Brazilian community. What I needed was to find the things that I like to do in life in a new place. So for example, I love dancing. So I always love dancing, always in my life. So what I did during, over the last 10 years, changing, country to country and place, city to city, it was like when I get to a place, find out where, let's see where these people go dancing. I like Latin dances like salsa, samba, and rumba, and bolero, zouk, all those things. So I Google it first week, where those people dance salsa or samba, something like that. And I will go to that studio. I will just go by myself. Some people are afraid to give the first step, and they put some, those little voices in their head saying, oh no, you shouldn't go alone to a dance studio. You're a woman in a new country or something like that. I don't listen to those little voices at all. So I think, in order to lose that fear, and I just have to give this first step. So I really advise people, like, give the first step and look for something that you like to do in your normal life, wherever you are, when you arrive in that new country. So once I went there, for example, I went to a new dance studio, immediately, start to dance, and I was like talking to other people, and they was, where are you from? When did you arrive? People are going to be interested because you're a foreigner. You come from somewhere else, and then you tell your stories, and then you ask more questions about, okay, so where in general, you guys go to do this or to do that. And immediately you create, a connection with someone, because you have something in common. You went to look for something that you like, as I did with dancing, for example. So I was in an environment that I like, meeting other people that like to do the same thing as I do. And we start the conversation about that. So we have a topic in common, and having a topic in common is another tip to create an initial connection with someone. So that's one thing that worked very well with me and works all the time wherever I am. It's like looking for things that, yes, I do like. So I'm a little bit of, outside of my comfort zone because it's a new country, but at the same time, I'm looking for something that I like to do. So other people, they like to play guitar, other people like to play chess, or they like to go to churches, or they like to do sports, like, they like running. So look for a running club, there will be maybe people that like to learn other languages, or even the new language of the country where you're going. So look for a language school in that place, and try to do something that you like to do to create a bond with someone initially. That's, I would say, is my favorite first tip.
And bringing this to a smaller level, let's say we're not traveling to another country, we're just, say, attending an event in our own country with people from different backgrounds, especially in the US. We have a lot of backgrounds here, people from all over the world. What are some networking tips to create connection with somebody you meet at an event? So it's not a matter of signing up for a class. It's just, within 2 or 3 days, to create connection with someone. And even more when we talk about business, from a business perspective, because people are looking at networking events, people are looking to create partnerships. They are looking to see what other people are doing in business, or to promote their business. And sometimes I've been to a few networking events a few times, and people would just walk by me and hand me a business card, like without even saying hi, nothing. They'll just hand me a business card, and I thought that's awful. I thought that's awful networking. So can you share a few tips and a few ideas on this topic?
Definitely, Carmen. One of the things that always worked for me very well is ask questions. Asking questions. It could look like it is simple, but it's not. And genuine interest. Like when we ask questions with genuine interest for someone, then we start to create a real connection. So if you are in an environment that it's, as you said, it's just a business event or it's just a meeting or something like that, and even when you are in meetings, in small meetings, sometimes people tend to talk about, their soccer team or the favorite sport, or it's in the beginning of the meeting just to create that kind of connection. It's something that can be done as well. I was never really comfortable with going to a meeting and someone started to talk about other subjects rather than the topic of the meeting. So, but I realized that as the meeting was, moving on, or in these cases, the event was going on, if I was closer to that person and I started to ask some other questions, which are not necessarily can be like personal questions, but they can be about vision, about things that they could possibly share in that space. So they possibly could learn from each other, even if they're not specific questions. But if you demonstrate genuine interest while you asking your questions to someone, and that means looking the person in the eye, that means I'm just trying to understand clearly and paraphrase a few of those things that the person is saying. So the person is saying like, oh yeah, she or he is really interested in what I'm talking about. He got it, or she understood that. That's good. Someone nice to talk to. So sometimes when we go to these events, as you said, some people just, ask, and so what do you do? Oh, can you give me a business card? And that's, quick and not really profound. And you don't even remember afterwards, who is this business card that I have in here with me? So I would say focus on that, quality, much more than the quantity of the business cards that you actually have. Quality is very important to me. And I think it should be for everyone, because time is very scarce today. And if we have time, like quality time with people that actually matter to us or will matter in our lives, even if it is on a professional, personal life, doesn't matter. We're going to have much better results for ourselves. So I would say that, like, having that interest, genuine interest, spending that quality time with someone to create that connection.
How about when it comes to creating a connection with somebody you don't have face-to-face? And what I mean here are your marketing tools. I know you teach events and you promote, you build your own events and you teach them all over the world. How do you promote them? How do you create a connection to inspire someone to come to your events when you don't have them in front of you, when you can't ask them those questions directly and listen to what they say?
That's a great question, because that's, the challenge that we have every single day. One of the things is trying to do, at least for me, what works is like trying to be somehow closer to those people, even if they are not with me face to face. And what I mean by that is probably through someone else. So when I reach, someone, let's say online or via video or something like that has never seen me before, or they was talking to me by call, in general, they come to me through someone else who was in contact with me before, someone else who was in one of my training events that they heard, like this morning, like few hours, just 2 hours before I talked to you, I received a call of someone that I have never met before. And she comes to me and said, like, Hanna, look, I've heard, I don't know you, don't know me, but I've heard about one of your training programs, and that is amazing. And, people were talking to me about the results that they were creating in there after that. And I just want to talk to you more about it because we might need this in here. And for me, it works a lot with that, connection. It's also created by someone else. So people represent everything to me in that sense. So if I meet them in every single opportunity, like, you and I met, a few years ago and somehow kept, a distant connection in that sense, but still it's very worthy until today. Like, we're very good friends in that sense. We know we share a lot of things, especially from a business perspective, from what the difference we want to make in people's lives. And that's important to me. And when you do what you love to do, and people see that, they definitely help you out connecting with others, even if they have never seen you before. So that's what happens in my experience so far.
I think this being said, my next question doesn't even fit really well in the interview. I'll ask it anyway. I was going to ask you, if you would be to choose one factor that had the most impact in creating your success and in your business, what would that be?
One factor will be openness, I think. The first word that comes to my mind is it's to be open all the time for people, for no matter who they are, where they come from. In my concept, people are always good. Everybody has something good in their hearts, in their minds, and they wish to do good things for themselves, for their family, for the world, no matter what level. And if I'm open enough to receive those gifts from other people, when I meet them and having that interest in connecting to them, things will happen. Opportunities will come around. And that openness also was what made me move so much, into different countries. Like, when I received a proposal to Mozambique, it was actually an initial proposal to South Africa, and they changed in the middle of the process. They said, look, we changed now. We're not going to be here in Joburg in South Africa anymore. It's going to be Maputo, Mozambique. Do you still want to, continue, this process with us? Because you can give up, we can look for someone else. And I told them, like, look, I have no idea about Mozambique. So at the time I knew nothing about it. But so that's a great excitement for me. It's a great motivation. It's like to be open for whatever it comes. And it was one of the best decisions I've taken in my life that led me to, through and helped me out through this whole way. So same thing to when I moved to Australia. Like at the time I was ready to move to Malaysia and just chose a different course. Like someone else came to me, Hanna, you want to, go to Malaysia maybe in 1 year, a few months, but there is a great opportunity that we would like to invite you for Australia, and it's right now. And I said, it's awesome, I'm open. So definitely this factor that gave, like the openness gave me a lot of freedom in my life, and that freedom led to my success. Personally, I feel very blessed that I can have that, freedom to do what I love to do, which is facilitate and train people and help them out to develop themselves, a little better, a little more every single day. So they can be free, they can, have the freedom of choice, and they can be happy.
Talking about gifts, because you said you are open to receiving these gifts, you see as gifts things that some people might see obstacles right there. You see them as gifts, and I think that's wonderful. That's very inspiring to share this. And talking about gifts, I know you also have a gift for our audience. Since unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of our time together. I want you to take a few minutes and talk about the gift you have for our audience.
Awesome. That's perfect. So one of the gifts that I want to give to our audience is for the 6 first people who contact me, and I'll give you my email address very shortly, and you're going to also receive it. We'll see in the video later, I believe. For the first 6 people that will reach me through my email, I'm going to offer you as a gift for free half an hour session. It's a mentoring session with me through Skype, where we can talk about what motivates you. So if you are willing to discover, if you have the desire to discover a little bit more what motivates you, what really matters to you in your daily working life in that sense. And I do this session like all the time with different people around the world. And it's a wonderful session that I could really give to you, as soon as possible. So during the next few months, I will contact you, like the 6 first people who contact me, I will contact you, and then we will schedule that session for the best time for both of us. And I'm going to go through what are the factors that motivates people, and so you can find out what is most important to you right now. And if you have that in your life at this time, or how can you actually create that in case you don't have that yet? So, and for everybody else, the other people, not the 6 first ones, but all the others who actually contact me as well, of course I will reply to all of you, and just maybe keep in contact. Maybe we can in the future just share some ideas and create new opportunities one day. But yeah, for the first 6 people, like half an hour session of mentoring about what motivates you.
As it said, the bigger the why, the easier the how. So I think what you're doing with the people and helping them discover what drives them and what's the motivation, what can push them forward and move them forward, I think this is very important. This is the basis to have in mind before starting anything you want to do successful, knowing why you're doing it. So the lucky ones, the first 6 to take action, are going to get this great gift from Hanna, and she's wonderful. As you can see, she's wonderful at connecting with people, at working with people, and creating trust, and she really comes from her heart. She's definitely going to be there for you, helping you. 30 minutes, it's invaluable with her. And Hanna, just before we finish this, if we can give our audience just one last piece of advice or a last word of encouragement. Say they're just starting their business, and they are dreaming to maybe move it internationally, or maybe they have a small coaching business here or a speaking business, and they dream of becoming like you. What's one first step that they can do today to move towards this direction, at least to get a better idea on what's next for them?
All right. So the very first thing, it's about awareness. That's something that I learned in a very young age, early stages of my life, but it's very important, and it was reemphasized throughout my whole journey, and especially by my coaches and mentors nowadays. It's to be aware of who we are and what we want in our lives. So sometimes we just think we want so many things that we wish, their house, their place, or to have that family. And but most of the times, we're not really aware of what we really want for ourselves. We think we want some things because everybody has, because other people have around us, because our parents told us so, our school teachers, or anyone else who were, in our daily lives, our friends. So sometimes we just go with the flow of everyone else and not doing the right choices for what we want for ourselves.
And
so
this comes back a little bit to your training. What motivates you? Be aware of what you need and what drives you.
Exactly. So for me, it's like to be aware, and it is something that I really I've been doing during my life all the time, is like being aware of what is going on, what do I want in my life. It is analyzing myself, it's trusting my own feelings and my own desires. So that I think it's a big aha for every one of us. And I really encourage you all who are watching the video, like, to look, go after, like, look for who you really are, what you really want in your life. Be aware of what is going on in your life. Don't just go with the flow, because everybody else is doing. Just, go and search for your own essence, your own truth, and what is true to you.
Hanna, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and for all the advice you gave, as well as for your generous offer of the 6 coaching sessions. It was wonderful having you with me, and to all of my audience, I'll see you in the next episode. Make sure to take advantage of Hanna's offer. Thank you so much, my dear. I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you very much, Carmen. Thank you, everybody, and talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching Entrepreneurs Conquering the World with your host, Carmen Ring.